C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. The black Mondeo slowly stopped in the underground parking lot of the Oasis, looking at Han Yuan, who had fallen asleep in the front passenger seat. Alon shook his head and said to himself, he still says he's never been drunk before. He got drunk so quickly. He was so big and strong that she couldn't carry him at all. It seemed as if she could only wake him up. Big brother Han, we're home. Alon pushed Han Yuan. Han Yuan was snoring lightly as his body moved. He still had his eyes closed, with no intention of waking up. The underground garage was eerily quiet at night, and any sound was amplified and creepy. Alan had an inspiration. She opened the music box in her phone, turned it to the loudest tone, and placed it beside Han Yuan's ear. The sound of the bed being woken up rang out. Do, as expected, the drunk Han Yuan immediately opened his eyes. He looked around in confusion before his gaze fell on Alan's face. Where is this? Han Yuan's tongue was curled up, and the taste was very obvious. It really works. This is in the underground garage downstairs from your house. When Han Yuan heard this, his mind was in chaos again. He slumped back in his chair, breathing out a strong smell of alcohol. The sound of the bugle horn had given him a fright. He had thought that he was still in the army. In the army, a bugle was an order. Unexpectedly, he was sitting in a car. Wait, where did the horn come from? He struggled to open his eyes again. He looked at Lon with a hazy gaze. You, who are you? Who I am is not important. The important thing is that you must go home now, and so must I. As Lon spoke, she got out of the car and went to the front passenger seat to help Han Yuan off. Han Yuan felt weightless and light all over, as if he was flying. His body was leaning against Oren's, completely out of his control. It's really heavy. Lon supported him, crying out in his mind. This brother was a typical skinny and fleshy figure. Alon used all his strength to help Han Yuan stagger to the elevator. Han Yuan panted heavily, the taste of alcohol still in his mouth. How much did he drink? Alan shook his head. Aaron took the key from his hand and opened the door for him. After entering the house, Han Yuan sat on the sofa like a pile of mud, breathing alcohol out of his mouth. Alon was covered in sweat and was about to leave when he suddenly realized something was wrong. This house was so empty, there was no one here. What about Han Yuan's wife? Alan couldn't help but look around the three-bedroom house. European-style decoration is very delicate and elegant. A few small murals on the wall perfectly embellished this warm space. Beige color, very warm. On a small square next to the sofa was a large frame with a picture of the child. A big boy in a blue striped jumpsuit, laughing as he crawled across the green grass, his right hand raised and his eyes staring straight ahead. Beneath the photo were 3 words. Thousandly in the palm of the hand. Needless to say, this must be Han Yuan's son. He could tell that this photo had a profound meaning, as it held Han Yuan's boundless expectations for his son. It was 10 o'clock. She had to go back. If the one who was drunk today wasn't Han Yuan, she, as the dignified CEO Lon, wouldn't be a substitute driver. In the middle of the night, Lon brushed her messy hair and was about to turn around to leave, but Han Yuan, who was lying on the sofa, vaguely shouted, "Water, water." Alon immediately returned and went to the restaurant to pour some water for Han Yuan. When he picked up the kettle, there was not a drop of water inside. No more in the kitchen. The stove in the kitchen was clean and the food was tidy. It seemed like he had not cooked for a long time. Why does this house look so strange? There was no smell of smoke or fire in the world. What about the mistress and the children? Alan felt strange. She opened the refrigerator and finally found a bottle of mineral water, but the water was too cold, and Han Yuan couldn't drink it directly. It was his favorite moment to drink warm water. Alon immediately took up the electric kettle to boil some water, preparing to make a cup of tea for Han Yuan. Han Yuan kept shouting, "Water, water, water," and it seemed like he was dying of thirst. Alon had no choice but to pour the cold mineral water into the tap water to let the temperature rise a little, pouring a small cup for Han Yuan to moisten his throat. Soon, the water in the kettle boiled. She brewed a cup of tea and used the cold mineral water to cool it down quickly before supporting Han Yuan by giving him a cup of warm tea. After drinking the water, Han Yuan licked his lips comfortably. His tall body was still curled up on the sofa. The sofa that was so big seemed so small under his body. Alan thought he should help him to the bedroom, otherwise his body would ache from the pain tomorrow as he curled up like that for the night. With great effort, Alan finally managed to help Han Yuan onto the bed in the master bedroom. Han Yuan was lying on the bed. Alan took off his shoes and covered him with a towel before turning to leave. Han Yuan, however, held her hand and said indistinctly, "Yen Yen, don't go, don't go." Lon didn't understand. He didn't know who he was calling, but he was sure it wasn't her. She patted Han Yuan's arm. "Sleep well, I'm going home, Yen Yen, don't go, I love you, I miss you." Han Yuan tightly held Alan's hand, not wanting to let go. This time, Alan understood. Han Yuan called her Yen Yen, who was Yen Yen. Blue sees a wedding photo on the bedside table. Han Yuan was dressed in a black suit, a white shirt with a red bow tie, shining eyes, and a smile brimming with happiness. The bride beside Han Yuan had delicate facial features and a tall figure. She had clean short hair and a pure white wedding dress. Her faint smile revealed a haughty expression, especially her raised neck, which made people feel that she was extremely arrogant. This was the Yen Yen Han Yuan had shouted. Beautiful, but a little unapproachable. "Yen Yen, Yen Yen." Han Yuan shouted again, and forcefully pulled Alan into his embrace. Han Yuan's chest was warm, giving off a masculine scent. The effect of the alcohol made him gasp for breath, and his nose snorted. He hugged Alan tightly, his chin stroking her hair as he muttered, "Yen Yen, I miss you." His hands also became restless as he began to constantly rub his head against her neck. Smelling the masculine scent on Han Yuan's body, Alan instantly felt a little absent-minded. He fell into a trance as he thought back to the 10 years ago, the years when he was burning with passion. "Big brother Han." Alan shouted as he struggled to get away, "I'm Alan, I'm not your Yen Yen, wake up." Han Yuan did not listen at all. The alcohol had already ignited the need he had been suppressing for a long time. His body felt as hot as fire. It felt as if fire was burning his throat, and a part of his body was waiting to erupt like a volcano. He yearned for it too much. "Yen Yen, do you know how much I miss you? Yen Yen, don't go." Han Yuan's mouth was constantly moving around Lan's smooth white neck. He really wanted to kiss the woman he loved, his wife Yen Yen. "Big brother Han." Alan touched Han Yuan's wide forehead in heartache, as well as the large mole on his left eyebrow. "I'm sorry, I'm not your Yen Yen, I'm Alan. I have to go." Although she didn't know why Han Yuan's wife wasn't home, she could tell that Han Yuan loved his wife very much and missed her very much. Han Yuan's clearly defined face turned slightly red from the effects of alcohol. He frowned slightly as his breathing became hot and rapid. A man's face, with the same angular features that had loved her so madly, appeared before her eyes. However, the past was not easy to recall. Alan's eyes started to moisten. She forced herself to her feet, trying to struggle free from Han Yuan's grasp. "No, don't go, don't go." Han Yuan used his strength and pulled Alan back. Alan staggered and fell into Han Yuan's arms again. His wavy hair, which was originally tied up, fell down due to external force and landed firmly on Han Yuan's head. "Yen Yen, I love you, I miss you, I really miss you." Han Yuan was intoxicated as he smelt the fragrance of a woman's hair, his consciousness becoming more blurry and his emotions more agitated. He held Alan tightly, completely treating him as his wife. Tonight, he would never let her leave. Being hugged so tightly by Han Yuan once again, Alan's heart throbbed with indescribable emotions. The first time she saw Han Yuan, she was deeply attracted by his unique military aura. He looked young when he was drinking, brilliant when he smiled, and when he spoke, his voice had a metallic, magnetic quality to it that made her feel the charm of his unique manhood. He was a man pure to the point of transparency. Although he was young, he wasn't dirty at all. His smile was so clean, his eyes were so clear and charming, Alan forcefully suppressed the throbbing in his heart and pulled himself free from Han Yuan's embrace. Big brother Han, rest well. I'll be leaving now. Don't go. Han Yuan continued to hold her hand tightly as he mumbled, don't go. Alan steeled his heart, wrenched his hand free, and walked quickly out. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.